Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Live Natural, Live Well. This is your host, Heather Lounsbury. Thanks so much for joining me today. In just a minute, I'm going to be bringing on Brendan Brazier. He is a vegan triathlete. He's developed some nutritional products, best-selling author, and what I consider one of my vegan superheroes. I'm really excited to have him on today. If you want to call in with any questions for Brendan, the number is 347-884-9533. That's 347-884-9533. Let me go ahead and bring Brendan on. Good morning.
Hey, Heather. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on today. I know you're crazy busy.
Yeah, no problem. I know it's we've been trying to make this work for a while, so I'm glad to finally have it happen.
Me too. Are you in LA right now or traveling around?
No, I'm in Vancouver right now. I'm in Vancouver for about a week, and then continue on with a bit of a Canadian tour: Victoria, Calgary, Winnipeg. So, away for a bit.
Where do you find time to train when you're traveling this much?
I never really have a problem with it. I get up pretty early, just get out for a run, and then just get on with my day from there. But that's the great thing about running, of course. You can do it pretty much anywhere, and I try and stay in hotels that I know are close to green belts or parks or somewhere that's reasonably good to run. So I fit it in okay, and then usually I'll do some sort of gym workout later in the day, or even just a workout in the hotel room with some just like simple body weight exercises and stuff like that.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're able to keep up with it, because I can tell just from seeing you on Facebook that you're all over the place these days.
Yeah, it's pretty packed schedule for sure.
Yeah. So let's start off. I'm sure 99% of my listeners know who you are, but if you want to give a brief introduction on what you're up to these days.
Sure. Yeah. Right now I'm touring, talking mostly about either my first book, which is called Thrive, which is more to do with nutrition and talking about how to reduce symptoms of stress by reducing stress itself by eating better foods, plant-based whole foods. And then my second book that's more to do with training and fitness is called Thrive Fitness. So talking about both of those right now. And then I have a new book coming out. It will be out in May in Canada and out in September in the U.S. And that's more of a food issues, environmental type book that looks at the amount of resources used to produce food and just their impact on the environment, and just make suggestions as to how we can get more nutrition while expending fewer natural resources and less of each natural resource to get good food. So that also has 200 recipes in it, and that will be out, like you say, pretty soon, and I'll be touring for that as well.
Great. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'll make sure you get a copy.
Thank you. And I know you went vegan at 15. If you want to share how that happened and how you did the research, because when I first went, I started as a vegetarian, and I was so confused and lost, but I also didn't have the motivation of being an athlete behind it. So I'm wondering what inspired you and how did you do your research for that?
Yeah, for me, it was really all about performance. I would have eaten anything at that point if I thought it would make me a better athlete. And, yeah, like you said, I was 15. I started off running track in high school. I just really enjoyed it and thought if I could do that full-time and make a career out of being an athlete, that would be ideal. So I thought, well, I got to obviously try and train as much as I possibly can. And to train as much as you can, you have to recover as quickly as possible. So I started looking at different ways to speed recovery, knowing that, of course, that would be the ticket to more training, which would be which would increase my odds of having this career. So I found nutrition played a huge part in the recovery process. So that's why my focus went on nutrition at a really early age. It wasn't that I really cared about nutrition. I just cared about the possible outcome of good nutrition, which would be that professional career in athletics. And that was my motivation. It was really career-based. I wanted to be a great athlete and be able to make a living off it. And then I found trying different ways of eating. Some were better than others, but nothing was really great. And then I tried plant-based, and at first it didn't work. I was always hungry and tired, and I didn't recover well and was having issues with it. But once I figured out how to do it properly, which did take a while. It took about a year and a half for me to really feel comfortable with it. It was amazing. My recovery was so much better. My inflammation went down that I didn't even realize I had after training. And
wow.
I became more flexible. I became more efficient. I didn't have to work as hard to move, which meant my heart rate was lower, which meant my aerobic threshold went up, and just all kinds of amazing things started to happen as a result of this well-put-together plant-based whole food diet that I was kind of surprised by, really, that it worked so well. And then, of course, since my performance improved a lot, I got asked a lot of questions about what I was doing differently, and then I started talking about it more openly. I kind of just kept it to myself for quite a while, but I just get the same questions over and over. So that's why I started doing it, and why I continue to do it. Although now, knowing more and having been vegan for about 21 years now, I've learned about, obviously, other implications that our food choices have on not just us, but environmental concerns and other things too. So they just kind of reinforced my decision. But yeah, it was all based in performance to begin with.
So, and I'm sure you get asked the protein question more than the rest of us vegans and vegetarians out there. Like, are you at the point where you just want to scream when you get asked that question, or are you able to handle it?
I'm pretty good about that. I can still handle it. But I get asked that so many times, and that's, I guess, just kind of a testament to how well meat and dairy has been marketed, that people think that they need huge amounts of protein, and they think it has to come from meat and animal products in general. And it's amazing that how much protein you actually get if you eat whole foods, not just not refined foods, but the whole foods. So things like, even wheat, for example. If you have white flour, you basically just get starch. But if you have the whole grain, you actually do get protein from that. So it's when you start to remove elements of food that you get into trouble. So eating the plant-based whole foods makes a big difference. And even things like spinach and kale, dark leafy greens, are 45% protein. So if you eat a big enough salad, you're getting quite a lot of protein. And things like hemp is a great source of protein. It's around 45% protein. And spirulina, chlorella, other algae, they're almost 70% protein. So there's a lot of good food out there that has good quality protein. Even things like pseudo grains, amaranth, quinoa, buckwheat, wild rice, they're around 25% protein. So, like I say, if you eat a well put together plant-based whole food diet, you won't have an issue with protein.
No, it's. I was out to dinner with a friend the other night for Indian, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get a vegan dish too, so we can share." And I thought that was very sweet. She goes, "No, I need some protein." So she I was like, "Oh my God!" And I like, you know what? I can't even go into that conversation tonight. I'm just so tired of saying it. But I'm sure you get the question even more than I do.
Yeah.
And I know you worked with Hugh Jackman on developing his lean muscle for his X-Men role. How did that go, and how did that come about?
Yeah, that's ongoing actually. It's in process right now. But yeah, for his last X-Men movie, he was eating a lot of chicken, and he was drinking a lot of Vega as well. The formula that I developed, and he really liked it. That's why he got in touch with me in the first place. But he was eating chicken, and he didn't feel good about it because he has become aware of the environmental implications and the long-term health implications. He's in his 40s now, and it's not at all costs for him anymore. He's thinking about his future as well, and he's thinking about his young kids, and he wants to set a good example for them. And obviously, he has a lot of young fans, and he doesn't want to say, when he gets asked, how did you get so big, he doesn't want to say, I ate a lot of chicken. He just doesn't feel good saying that. And he didn't feel good eating the chicken either. He felt heavy and lethargic, and he had to then depend on things like coffee and stuff, which, of course, a lot of people do to get going, and that's just a testament to low-quality food, really. So he was really interested in trying to ultimately cut out all animal products and be completely vegan. He's not completely vegan at the moment, but he's so much closer than he was when he was training for his last X-Men movie. So now he's drinking a lot of Vega and just eating really well, a lot of plant-based whole foods, and still a bit of chicken, but far, far less than what he was. So he's really made a lot of progress, and he's doing great. Apparently he's, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's apparently 220 pounds or so. So really, packing a lot of good lean muscle. And
wow.
We'll start trimming down soon for filming that starts in summer.
So did he find you initially because he already knew about Vega, or how did that come about?
Well, he read Thrive, and
Okay.
he liked it, and it just, I guess it struck a chord with him, and yeah, he started drinking Vega and just really liked it. And then he actually, because he liked the book so much, he offered to write the foreword for reprints. So that was really nice. And so all the new Thrive edition books have the foreword by Hugh Jackman, and he kind of talks about his evolution and his new diet really for his next movie.
That's great. So let's that's a great segue to talk about Vega. I know you've developed several new flavors and concoctions. So let's move on to that. Tell my listeners why it's so awesome. I mean, I love it and feel great on it and love the flavors, but I'll let you plug it. You can probably do a better job than me.
Yeah, well, it was really just something I started off making for myself back when I was around 15, and it's evolved a lot over the years, but I started off with just blending together, essential fatty acids, well, foods that have essential fatty acids like flax, and I started adding, I used to use soy because I didn't realize that it was quite as acid-forming as it is. I use hemp now, like Vega has hemp in it, but I started off blending all these things together and had it after my workout each day to help speed recovery, and it really did make a big difference. And then in 2004, so quite a few years later, I partnered with someone else, and we brought it out as a product. It came out in Canada in 2004, in the U.S. in 2005. It was basically an all-in-one. It's protein, essential fats, fiber, greens, enzymes, probiotics, vitamins, minerals. And, it's certainly not a substitute to eating well. You definitely want to eat well as well, but it's just a good, convenient, on-the-go kind of thing, and great, obviously, for recovery after workouts. And, yeah, now we have a Vega Sport product, which is a pre-workout product, so it's a healthy sport drink. You have about 20 minutes before a workout that fuels your body and gets you ready for a workout. We have energy bars, too, the Vega bars, that you can actually make them yourself. The recipes are in the book Thrive, and make them just the way I used to make them, or you can just buy Vega bars, whichever. But we have those now as well, and we have something called Shake and Go, which is just more of like a mass market stripped down version of Vega. So it's the basics. It's protein, essential fats, fiber, greens, enzymes, and that's been doing well too, because it gets out to a broader group of people and isn't just in health food stores. It's it's more accessible, which is what we wanted.
Oh, good. So people can buy it at a regular grocery store now?
Yeah, it's starting to get that way. It's not in all the big grocery stores yet, but it's going that direction. So, we're just trying to make things more convenient for people, because, of course, not everyone shops at places like Whole Foods, and we just want to, we want as many people to be exposed to this convenient, nutrient-dense, plant-based whole foods as possible. So, yeah, we're trying to do that.
That's great. That's getting out to the masses. And with that, are you getting much of a backlash, or do you? Because I know a lot of people who are doing things outside the mainstream, and especially with vegans, can get a lot of flack from non-believers. Do you experience that at all?
No, it's been really positive, because it's we're just saying here's some good food, and we'd like it to be available to as many people as possible, because then people are more likely to eat well, and that's going to benefit us all. If people are healthier, then obviously they're less dependent on the healthcare system, and they're going to be happier, and everyone benefits, really. So, it's been pretty good. It's yeah, I've been pleased that people have been able to see the big picture for the most part and get what it is we're trying to do.
Oh, that's great, and I'm sure you're excited to see this as well. This seemingly new trend of veganism, and more and more people doing it, and it's on Oprah, and Forks Over Knives is getting a wide release, and it's pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just saw for the first time, I knew it existed, the huge billboard with Mike Tyson. So it's vegan. It's like it's just amazing to see on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen that. That's good though. That's who put that out?
Last Chance for Animals.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I haven't seen that. That's good.
Oh yeah. So, and I know there's been a little controversy. Well, I don't know if controversy is the right word. It's great that Kathy Freston is getting so much exposure, but she seems to be promoting more of the junk food and the transition food. And how do you feel about that?
Well, you need to look at her audience too. I mean, she's on some pretty mainstream shows, and I think I personally think her approach is really smart, because a lot of people who are watching those shows are not going to get all excited about drinking a spirulina smoothie and eating big salads and things like that. So I think she's taken a very good approach. She knows her audience, and she knows that people are curious, but they still want the taste and the texture of meat and things like that. So some soy protein analogs and stuff like that, for those people, I think makes a lot of sense. I think that those types of foods are great for transition foods, but eventually you'd want to transition away from those as well, because they are quite highly processed and, like you say, junk food, vegan. But I think with her audience, with that exposure she's getting, I think she's taking the right approach. I know there's a lot of people who just think that it's a really strange, unappealing diet. So I think that her making it seem more accessible and easier to do is the way to go. So, yeah, I think she's done a great job.
Yeah, at first I was frustrated and upset, because I'm like, wait, this makes it look like all vegans are just eating fake cheese and fake meat all day, and then I let it sink in and was hearing non-vegan feedback about her book and her TV appearances. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually really great, and hopefully inspiring a lot of people to at least go more plant-based, if not 100%. So I'd have to agree with that. And what can we expect from the new book? I know you briefly touched on it in the intro, but is it mostly recipes or environmental issues? What's with that?
It's a pretty fat book. It's 350 pages. There's 200 recipes, and I created some of the recipes, whereas in my previous books I had made all the recipes, but this one I didn't make them all. I made some, and then what I did is I had some of my favorite chefs make recipes. Tal Ronan has contributed a few, and also some of my favorite restaurants, like Millennium in San Francisco, Candle 79 in New York, some of those great restaurants, and also some basic cafes as well have contributed recipes that are really simple and easy to do. So you get anything from very easy to 5-star gourmet type stuff. So broad range there. And they all adhere to my nutritional philosophy, which is, of course, plant-based whole foods, and the same principles that I put forth in the first book, in Thrive. So, I was really pleased to see that so many great chefs came on board and contributed some really great innovative recipes. Because I figure, I think I can make some decent recipes, but I'm by no means a chef. So I wanted some of the top chefs to use these ingredients and work some magic with them. They really did. They're amazing recipes. So I've been really pleased with that. But the bit that actually excites me the most is the whole environmental section that I really enjoyed writing. It was just some of the things I found from the research was just staggering, the amount of resources used to produce animal food as opposed to plant-based whole foods. So in a sense, it's saying eat in a mathematical way that it makes sense to eat plant-based whole foods for personal and environmental health. And it's just really doing it by numbers. And I have a lot of images in there too, that little icons that show the amount of land, water, fossil fuel, and emissions created to produce different types of food, so you can just kind of flip through it and get a visual of the comparison between plant-based food production and animal-based food production. So it's very easy to grasp, and I think quite visually striking too, the divide between the production of these different types of foods.
Do you want to give an example or two for my listeners? Because I know there's so many. This is something that can sometimes frustrate me as well. Is there's so many people who are environmental activists or say they are, but they can't. They are, for whatever reason, unwilling to go plant-based. Like they'll give up cars, they'll give up plastic, they'll give up flying, but they won't give up what's causing the number one cause of global warming. So if you want to give a few statistics. Yeah,
I mean, I'll pick one, but yeah, there's so many there. But yeah, as you mentioned too, the number one cause of greenhouse gas emissions is animal agriculture above transportation, and that's all transportation, planes, buses, cars, everything. So it's pretty staggering, and that's specific animal agriculture, and that's a UN report too. So it's well researched. It's not just some little group doing this. It's United Nations, which is pretty credible. So I definitely cite that study. But one thing I found too, I did some research, and I looked at standard American breakfast: bacon, eggs, toast. I compared that to a plant-based whole food smoothie made up of hemp and flax and a bunch of good things blended in with a banana. And I compare that, obviously nutritionally, the plant-based whole food smoothie comes in far, far ahead, but just from an environmental standpoint, if one person swapped out his or her standard American breakfast for a plant-based breakfast for a year, the CO2 emissions savings would be the equivalent of driving a mid-sized car that gets 26 miles per gallon from Vancouver, BC to Tijuana, Mexico, so the whole west coast of the U.S. And that's one person, one meal a day. So that's, it's pretty significant. And then I did the calculation further, and of course, I mean, this isn't realistic, but just to get a number, if everyone in the United States did that, if every man, woman, child swapped out standard American breakfast for the plant-based option, that would save the equivalent in CO2 emissions as driving an equal distance to the moon and back 9.5 million times. So, this staggering amount of CO2, and that's just CO2. That's not even factoring in water, land, or fossil fuel use. Just the emissions from that. So it really is. The divide is it's even hard to comprehend.
It really is. And then water usage. It's something like a pound of meat. The water it takes to produce 1 pound of meat would feed a family of 4. The amount of grains it would grow the amount. Sorry, I'm totally mixing up my words. With the same water could feed a family of 4 with grains for a year. It's obscene. And I had
it is.
A friend of mine who's one of those people who's given up a lot for environmental cause. He called me 4 years ago and had read something from Paul McCartney about how it impacts the environment. And he goes, "Did you know this, Heather?" Yeah, I've been doing this for 26 years. Of course I know this. But thank you for being excited.
Right.
He still hasn't given up. He still hasn't given up his meat.
Well, it's funny, and it's interesting to see that switch in some people change. And another one that I use in the book is, again, swapping out a standard. This is a whole meal. So if you go from a standard American diet, and I give specifics in there, and again, this is just CO2, this and all the other factors, for a plant-based suggestion that I put in the book. So if you swap that out, one person swaps out his or her standard American diet for a plant-based diet that I suggest in there, it will save the equivalent CO2 emissions as if you were to drive 13,500 miles. The average American drives 12,500 miles in a year, so it has more of an impact than stopping driving altogether just by switching to a plant-based diet. So, it's great that people are taking transit and riding their bikes and all that, but eating a plant-based diet has more of an impact on reduction of CO2 emissions than cutting out driving altogether for the average American. And that to me was really interesting because, of course, people see Hummers and these big SUVs and, just they get so mad. They're saying, like, these people don't care about the environment and stuff. And, you know, I'm not supporting people driving around in Hummers and stuff, but you just look at the numbers, and it's actually less offensive than eating a standard American diet as far as CO2 emissions go. So it was interesting.
Well, I'm glad you've done this, because it's definitely a time that those numbers, and it sounds like it's going to be an easy to read, and the visuals in there will help people get it. I mean, obviously, the environmental impact is part of my motivation, but for being vegan. Hopefully more and more people who care about the planet will transition. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to do it.
Yeah. And we only have a couple more minutes left, so if you want to share any words of wisdom with my listeners, or any more info you want to give out about your upcoming book or Vega products, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. There's the book can be pre-ordered on Amazon.ca in Canada, and it's called Whole Foods to Thrive in Canada, and in the U.S. it's actually going to be called Thrive Foods. For whatever reason, they changed the name, and that can be pre-ordered on Amazon.com. But also, I will give out a website address, ThriveIn30, Thrive, IN, and the number 30.com, and that's just this little web series I put together. It's free. You just put in your email, and you get 3 emails a week for 4 weeks, and each one is a concise video segment of me talking about different ideas, and more to do with nutrition, not so much environmental stuff, but more to do with nutrient-dense, plant-based whole foods and performance and speeding recovery and all those types of things. So that's a really good resource, too. I find some people learn better visually than they do by reading, so that's kind of my attempt to get this information to a broader group of people who may not want to actually read a book about it. So that's a good resource as well.
Oh, what a great idea. So that's already up and happening, because I definitely want to post that and promote it.
It is, yep. That's all live now.
Oh, good. Well, congratulations on all your success, and I hope the book does really well.
Thanks.
You're welcome, and enjoy Canada. I hope it's not too cold up there.
Yeah, it's a little chilly. Vancouver's not too bad. It's kind of sunny today. It's still a bit cool, but it's nice. Vancouver's a beautiful city, so it's always good to be in Vancouver.
I bet. Well, take care, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Brendan. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. So, Brendan Brazier, thank you so much for coming on today. I learned a lot, and I hope you all did as well. Please repost the interview so all your friends can hear it. And remember to mark my show as a favorite. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be having on Anna Cummins of Five Gyres. She has made it her life mission to expose the plastic in our oceans, the trash in our oceans, and how that's having an impact on the environment and on animals, and what we need to do to reduce our impact. If you have any questions for me or want to set up an appointment, I can help you transition to a plant-based, or at least a more plant-based diet if you're interested, and help you do it right so you're nice and strong like Brendan is. And you can contact my office at info@livenaturallivewell.com. That's info@livenaturallivewell.com. And I do offer phone consultations for those of you who don't live in the LA area. And thanks so much for joining me, and stay tuned for the next show. Take care.